Nathan was messing with Lauren, being really irritating, really annoying. We were in a car. No one was laughing, but Nathan was just full of joy. He didn't care. He didn't care that not a single other person cared that what he was doing wasn't bringing any pleasure to them. But he was just messing with Lauren, and he was getting so much joy out of it. Like you see your kids fighting and arguing, and from the adult's point of view, and you're like, well, why are you doing that? Don't you see that that is annoying? Don't you see that you're making the other person upset? Why would you do that to your sister? Or why would you do that to your brother? But from the kid's point of view, they're not thinking like that. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Rising Father podcast. I'm Chris Rodack. Today's all about the kids. I'm going to tell you a story from this morning of Nathan and Lauren, my two kids, getting at each other, yelling and teasing and making each other mad, trying to hurt each other intentionally, and how I handled it. And maybe you can take something from it. You might say that's the right way to handle it, that's the wrong way to handle it, but nevertheless, this is what this podcast is. It's just me sharing stories from my life. So I'm going to tell you a story of this morning, how they were fighting, how I handled it, what happened, some strategies I used. And maybe you can take some wisdom from it. Maybe you can share what happened to you. Feel free at all times. You can always send me an email, send me a message, say, hey, this is happening, and start a conversation. But this is a common situation that parents find themselves in, where your kids are just at each other. I remember growing up, me and my brothers were at each other constantly. There were 9 of us, 9 kids, in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. And we were always fighting. We also had a ton of good times. I remember bike riding and going on hikes and adventures and playing Nerf battles and swimming and basketball, all kind of stuff with my brothers and sisters. But I also remember fighting a lot. And whenever you're that age, you do not have the perspective you do as an adult. So the advice your parents are giving you sometimes just does not register. It just does not make sense. Like you see your kids fighting and arguing, and from the adult's point of view, and you're like, well, why are you doing that? Don't you see that that is annoying? Don't you see that you're making the other person upset? Why would you do that to your sister? Or why would you do that to your brother? But from the kid's point of view, they're not thinking like that. I remember as a kid, because watching Nathan do this to his sister took me back 30 years, and I remember doing it. Because I remember my mom saying to me, like, why are you doing that? It's not funny. You're just annoying the person or making them angry. Nathan was messing with Lauren. I'm not talking about this morning. This is a different day. Nathan was messing with Lauren, being really irritating, really annoying. We were in a car. No one was laughing. But Nathan was just full of joy. He didn't care. He didn't care that not a single other person cared that what he was doing wasn't bringing any pleasure to them. But he was just messing with Lauren, and he was getting so much joy out of it. I remember doing that to my sisters. I do. I remember doing that to my poor sisters, and there was no rationale behind it. It was like, when I push this button, I get this reaction. Look, I have some power. I have some control. This is fun. It's a funny reaction. Even though she's getting mad, like you don't register or have the perspective of, what am I doing to my relationship with this person? As a child, you do not think that way. So as adults, who hopefully we think that way, we can start to slowly impart that perspective onto our kids. So let's tell the story of this morning. I went and I worked out, got to the gym around 5:15-ish, came home, and, now that I think about it, it was even more silly that this happened, because it was right after I intentionally did something special with my son. Came home from the gym, the sky was beautiful this morning. It was like pink and red. It's the beginning of February, so the days are getting longer. It's getting like this week it's getting warmer, which I'm not going to be tricked by that, but it's getting a little bit warmer this week. Next week it might be minus 20, but this week at least it's a little warmer. And the sun was starting to come out. The sky was pink and red and just beautiful. And we have this awesome park by our house with a really tall hill where if you go up to the top of the hill, you can see the sunrise. And it's 5 minutes from us. So I said, Lauren, do you want to come ride with me? She was the first one by the door. I said, do you want to come in a car with me and we'll go out and see the sunrise? She said, no, thank you. So I said, okay. And then I went up to Nathan. I said, Nathan, do you want to come out to see the thing? He was like, well, can I rollerblade? I said, not really. It's like a grass hill. And I said, it's this hill we went to before. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. So he got changed, put his shoes on, came out with me. And then we took the dog, and me, my son, and our little Rusty boy went out on a hike, went to the top of this hill, saw the sunrise, walked around for 20, 30 minutes, got a good cardio workout in, and then came home. So as soon as we got in the truck, Nathan was like, hey, Dad, can we talk about Columbus? Next week is the Arnold Classic. So depending on when you're listening to this, this is February 3rd, 2025 is when I'm recording this. At the end of this week is the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. It's like a worldwide bodybuilding, powerlifting expo. And it's one of the biggest in the country. So last year I took my son for 3 nights, and this year we're going again, but with some friends. So we're going to have a really good time. So it's like a boys' trip. So as soon as we sit inside the truck, Nathan goes, hey, Dad, let's just talk about Columbus. Like, he's so excited about it. He just wants to talk about it. It's the same thing before we go camping together. Camping's fun, but he also loves talking about camping. He loves making packing lists, talking about what we're going to eat, what we're going to do as soon as we wake up, where we're going to hike, what we're going to see, what movies we're going to download for the projector, what kind of marshmallows we're going to make, all the things. He loves talking about the preparation and getting excited for it. So the event doesn't just last the day. The event is like the week before. And then afterwards, you can extend it too just by talking about what happened, and looking at the pictures and videos. So you can kind of double dip. So we got in the truck and we were talking about Columbus, Ohio, what we were going to do, restaurants we were going to go. We were talking about, like, on the way there, it's like a 3.5-hour ride from Pittsburgh. We're like, okay, we're going to watch Dave Portnoy One Bite Pizza reviews. He's obsessed with those. And we're going to watch this, and we're going to talk to our buddies and all this stuff that we're going to do. We're talking about the restaurants we're going to eat when we're there, what events we're going to look at. So we're having a really good time. It's a great moment between me and my son this morning. We get home, and I walk in the door, and I say, hey, Lauren, Nathan, you guys want some toast? Because the night before, it was Sunday, and I made pizza for everyone. We have a brick oven in my backyard that I made about 9 years ago, from scratch. YouTubed it. Total cost was $356. And I looked at a bunch of YouTube videos and made it. It's pretty awesome. So I'm kind of an expert pizza maker. We'll do a different podcast on that. But anyway, made pizza for the family. Nathan helped me make the dough. Lauren helped me make the dough. It's a whole day process of making the dough, cleaning the patio, cleaning the oven out, building a fire, making the pizza. You know, the actual pizza making process, once it's in the oven, is like 2 minutes max. So it's a whole day of prep, and then you make the pizza, and then it's over. But that was the night before, and what I did with the extra dough at the end is I made some loaves of bread once the fire cooled down. And the kind of pizza dough we make is amazing. It's 4 ingredients. It's water, salt, flour, and yeast. That's it. And it's just super basic, but super simple, super fresh. It just tastes so damn good. And especially when you make bread afterwards, it just stays soft and fluffy, and put in a toaster, just amazing. It's like the best toast bread you could want. So walked in the house, and I said, hey, who wants some toast? They were like, yeah, I do. All the kids were screaming. So I cut them up slices. I'm in the kitchen, and Lauren comes in looking sad. So I go, Lauren, what's wrong? She had tears in her eyes. Her face was red. She goes, Nathan took my seat on the couch, and he's just not giving it back. And she put her head down. So then I said, okay, what are you going to do about it? And she said, I don't know. He's not moving. And Nathan is 105 pounds. He's a brick wall. Great jiu-jitsu, CrossFit. Like, he could, if I let him play football, he'd be like a linebacker. Lauren also does jiu-jitsu, but she's like a third of his weight. Small, dainty, cute girl. So she cannot move Nathan physically, which is why girls learn how to, use their words. But I said, Lauren, what are you going to do about it? And she said, I don't know. I can't do anything. So I said, no, I want you to go in there and confidently, I want you to tell him to move. So she goes, okay. She goes, walks into the living room and I hear her go, Nathan, please move. She even said, please. And he goes, nope, finders keepers. And he started laughing. Just wouldn't move. Kept on watching TV. And I'm just in the kitchen making them food, listening to this, letting it play out because they have to learn the skills of interacting with each other in good situations and bad situations. And again, she probably said it 8 times. And she goes, Nathan, please move. And he keeps on saying, no. Again. So that like the 8th, 10th time, she's going, come on. She's not giving up. And he goes, okay. And then he scoots over like a foot, sitting next to the drink holder and, the best part of the seat she was in. We have a big leather wraparound L-shaped recliner couch that is now getting destroyed because my kids won't stop jumping on him. But he picked the best seat where Lauren was sitting, and then she scooted over, so he was still sitting in her spot, and I could hear her go, no. So at that point, Lauren did what I wanted her to do, which is advocate for herself. Because initially she walked into the kitchen in defeat. She asked him to move once, he said no, and she gave up. I don't want her to do that with anyone. Like I was happy this morning that she said to me, no, I don't want to come out with you. Because me as a kid, I would have said yes to my parents whether I wanted to do the thing or not, like a yes man. I am proud and happy that my daughter has the independence, confidence, and strength to not do that. She will say no if she doesn't want to do something. Nathan, he does not have the perspective of a 37-year-old father that I have. He is a little less than 2 years older than her. So he's still a baby. He's still a child, but a big one. But so he has a perspective, wisdom, and brain of a child, and Lauren is also growing, also finding herself, trying to advocate for herself right now. So I have to let Lauren fail. I have to let her try. I have to let her experience what it feels like to be successful when you're confident and get the thing you want, and also when you don't get the thing you want. These are all necessary life experiences for her to have. So I'm standing in the kitchen, allowing this to happen, debating with myself, when am I going to go in and do something? Should I go in and do something? I let her advocate for herself for 8 to 10 minutes. So then, after she did what I wanted her to do, which was advocate for herself, stand up for herself, Nathan still wasn't moving. I walked into the living room, lifted him off the couch, and put him on the ground. And then I just kind of like mounted him like you do in jiu-jitsu. And I just sat on top of him for a good 3 minutes. And that's why, as a father, you must be strong. You must be able to dominate your kids. And sometimes you need to put them in their place, and they have to know who the alpha is. Same thing with my dog. Why does my dog listen to me more than anyone else? Because I make sure when we wrestle and we tumble, and he knows who the alpha dog is. If you have little boys, they will begin to test you, and Nathan is in that age when he is beginning to test people. He did it when he was younger, too. We were watching videos yesterday of him when he was 6 years old. He was singing a birthday song to my best friend. I said, hey, Nathan, sing Uncle Mark a birthday song. And he said, happy birthday, dear fart Uncle Mark. And he had like a sneer on his face, like a snicker. And I was laughing. It's funny, but even then he was still, like poking the needle a little bit. But what I've always done, especially with him, is anytime he tested me, I would always make sure he knew who the boss was. Not in a damaging way, in a playful way. You don't have to do it in a judgmental, patronizing, mean-spirited, hurtful way or actually physically hurt them. You just need to let them know you are in control. I haven't had to do this with Lauren, and I would handle that differently anyway, because there is a difference between boys and girls. And with my son, I can be more physical with him. I do wrestle with Lauren because she loves it when I do, and I tickle her, and she loves it whenever I like lift her up and throw her over my shoulder. But it's a different kind of play. With Nathan, I'll do knee on belly. I'll mount. I'll pretend to get him in an arm bar. I'll pretend to choke him, and I will. We both do jujitsu together and practice jujitsu together. We've been doing that for his entire life, so it's like He's like a training partner that's half my size, and I know how to handle my weight and body so I don't hurt him. But if he's testing me, I let him know I'm in charge. And how I do that is what I've always done is basically putting him on the ground and mounting him like you do in jiu-jitsu, or like you see at MMA, like you just mounting means you're on top of the guy's chest and your knees are on the floor. So I'm not like hurting him. I'm just on top of him and just don't let him move until he stops writhing around. Not until he's dead, until he stops wiggling and he's like, I give up. Until he submits, basically. Until he submits and knows he has no control in this situation and his dad is the one in control. I did that when he was 2 and he was getting a little crazy. But obviously in a very different way. I wasn't mounting him. I just would take him, I'd put him on the ground, I'd just tickle him, or I'd hug him and just hold him there. It's like, no. And because I always wanted him to have that understanding of, I'm the one who is leading right now, which is a way of like, okay, dad's in control, but also it also provides security when you know I can't F with dad. Like, I'm not gonna F with dad. I can't screw with him. He is immovable. Like, I better not mess around. I better not test the waters too much, or else dad's gonna take me down. So at this point, he had to have that because he wasn't responding to Lauren's words. So I was like, okay, this is where I need to step in and just say, nope, here's a consequence. I'm just going to lift you out of the spot, put you on the ground. And now you could have just scooted over to another seat, but now you're underneath me for 5 minutes. And eventually he was like, Dad, get off me. Dad, get off me. I wasn't hurting him. I was just not letting him move, not letting him watch the TV show he wanted to watch, which was the main thing. And then eventually he stopped saying anything. And I got up. And then he walked over, sat in a different seat, kept on watching TV. And he came back into the kitchen. He was fine. He was talking to me. He was, talking about school. He was in a good mood. Because I didn't do that in an angry way. I didn't yell at him. I didn't say anything. I just lifted him up off the couch and put him on the ground. And because I didn't add any anger, judgment, or you're a bad person thought into this, I didn't harm our relationship at all. It was almost playful in the way I did it. I was just letting him know, hey, dad is here. The lion, the king of the pack is here. And when you're in his house, he's in control. And you will have good relationships with everyone in here. Reminding him of that. So put him on the ground, held him there. He got back up, walked over to a seat. He didn't test it again. Lauren goes, thank you, Daddy, love you. And then later, I'm in the kitchen working. Nathan comes in, is talking to me like everything's normal. He just need reminded. That's all. He started to test the waters. It's like you're in a pack of lions out there in Africa, and it's whenever the little lion cub starts to get a little too big for his britches, and then the dad lion has to come out and swat him around a little bit. So Nathan was not doing the behavior anymore, which was great. But then he also needed to learn the lesson. So I had to put some time between what he did to Lauren, what Lauren said to him, what I did to Nathan. Then I had to have some time between there for all that to soak in so I could deliver the correct message to him. So he was trying to talk to me about school or something, so I interrupted him and I said, Nathan, how come you did not move when Lauren asked you to move? And he goes, I didn't hear her. I said, do not lie to me. I heard you tell Lauren, finders keepers, and I heard her ask you 10 times to move, and you knew she was there. I said, do not lie to me. He said, I don't know. So I wasn't letting him get away with anything. He said, I don't know. And I said, so you're twice the size of Lauren, and were you not moving just because she couldn't physically move you? Because you're bigger and stronger than her? And he goes, yeah. So I said, so does that mean for the rest of your life, you're just going to do whatever you want to your sister because you're bigger and stronger than her? And he goes, no. I said, is that how you want to be with your sister forever? He goes, no. And I said, do you like it when other people take your seat? He goes, no. I said, okay. And then he walked into the living room, said sorry to Lauren, and a minute passed, And then they were both talking to each other about school, and they left in a good mood, and they walked up to their bus stop and went to school. And there's one other point I want to bring up. It's a deeper point after I kind of talk about what just happened. So I had to deliver that message to Nathan about the entire situation of what happened, with the understanding that he's very young and he's not going to really comprehend everything that I'm saying to him and what he's doing. Like, he was really annoying Lauren, and it didn't register to him. No matter how upset Lauren got, in his little 11-year-old brain, he's still thinking, this is fun. I push this button and it squeaks. That's what he's thinking. So as his father, who knows better, I have to try to shift his perspective a little bit and say, no, try to understand what this is going to do to your relationship. And also, what kind of person you want to be. I didn't call him a jerk. I didn't put any judgment upon him. I asked him, I said, is this the person you want to be? And then he said, no, I don't want to be that kind of person. You know, it's the same thing when I'm talking to a guy who wants to lose weight. And you're not at that point. The reason they're there is because they don't have the perspective, and they just say, well, I like donuts, so I eat donuts. When I'm unhappy, I put things in my face. And then you have to have some perspective and say, well, what else does this mean to you in the rest of your life? Let's zoom out a little bit. What are you going to be 20 years from now? What are your kids going to be 20 years from now if you continue down this road? And there's a way you can talk to children that you can't talk to adults, and vice versa. So what we can do is bring a little bit of that perspective to our children whenever they're doing something irritating, annoying, or heading down a path that won't leave them in a good place. And when I say irritating and annoying, I don't mean inconvenient for me. I don't mean like I'm trying to watch football, my kids having fun playing Legos and being loud. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about specifically a situation that just happened between my kids. And situations like that, where they're behaving in a way that is not good for the kind of people we want them to be. Not an inconvenience to me. It's not what I'm talking about. So he had an understanding, and they left on good terms. So I taught him a lesson. I taught my daughter a lesson about advocating for herself. But that situation is going to happen again probably today. And I'll once again have to teach those lessons again. Now, here's the other point I wanted to bring up, and this is an insight into kid relationships and why they kind of go at each other. Lauren is cute. She's super nice and considerate. When she was 2-3 years old, she said no to everyone. She was screaming. She was hilarious. She had some sass and an attitude. Complete 180 now. And I mean, obviously we loved her back then and love her now. But we watch those videos and we're like, is that you? It's hilarious. We were just watching a video yesterday of Sarah, my wife, telling Lauren, like, okay, Lauren, you can't talk back to me anymore. And then you can hear Nathan in the background saying, yeah, Lauren, don't talk back to mom. And then she goes, no. And she like shakes her butt and walks upstairs when she's 3 years old. She watched that video and she's like, is that me? I can't believe I did that. So before both of the kids left for school, you know, I said bye to both of them. I came up to Lauren, I gave her a hug, I kissed her all over her face, and Nathan watched me do that. And I said bye to Nathan, gave him a hug, kissed him. And then Nathan tried to hug Lauren and give her a kiss, and then Lauren went, no, get off me. Now, so I did it, and, you know, that's the relationship we have. Nathan did it. She rejected him, and then I could tell his feelings were a little hurt, and then they both left. But they still left on good terms, and we're talking, walking up the hill. So because how Nathan was irritating Lauren, she does not have the relationship with him right now. And she doesn't want that affection from him. Nathan saw me and Lauren being affectionate, and he wanted to have that relationship. But because of the way he was acting, that's not a possibility right now. So his hurt feelings are probably the reason why he antagonizes her so much. And then when he antagonizes her so much, it's for the reason why she says no to the affection. But he's 11 years old and has a small brain, and she's 9 years old and has a small brain. So they don't understand any of this. But this is an insight into that I understand, that I've observed between the both of them. Like they still have amazing times in play and are get along better than 99% of siblings that I see, and way better than I got along with my brothers and sisters. But I can see some hurt in Nathan sometimes whenever, he wants to have a closer relationship with Lauren and she just says no, but she'll like climb into my lap and be real cuddly with me. And sometimes Nathan just wants to sit close to her and maybe put his arm around her, and she'll be like, "Get off me." So that hurts his feelings. But he doesn't understand that why she's saying no, it's because you mess with her so much. And it's because she thinks you're probably going to mess with her. And the energy she's getting from you is like you're antagonizing her. So because of the past behaviors, that's why she's saying no. And then Nathan gets his feelings hurt and is like, why is it just me? How come you can cuddle and be like this with everyone else? It's just me. You must think this about just me, which causes him to antagonize her more. And there's some passive aggressivity behind the antagonism, which why with the kids you can't, like with Nathan, she can't just say, hey, can you move? Because there's more behind it. There's more emotion behind it. It's like, no, I'm doing this to you to bother you intentionally. So that's another thing. I'm not going to talk about that. Because I haven't solved that one. And, that's just normal kid dynamics, normal kid relationships between siblings. But I can also guide them since I'm here living with them and observe it, understand it. And I can try to have them not leave the house and hate each other. They're so close right now, even though they get at each other's throats like siblings do. One of my jobs is to guide the relationship between the two of them and help them understand each year as they get older the intentions of the other person and how to communicate. Like I do this with the guys in my program all the time. I can also do this with my kids. It's like, okay, I know from your perspective you think you're being like this, but the other person has a different perspective. So we can't just live in our own bubble. So that was this morning. I hope that provided something for you. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you're subscribed. Please share this with another father out there. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel this year. I might split my YouTube channel. I might do one separate for podcasts, one separate for other content, because I think me going between podcasts and other content is like screwing with the algorithm. That's what people are telling me. So we'll see what happens. But if you're not on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and share that stuff, like it, follow it. I got some YouTube specific content over there. My goal this year is to grow it. So any help with that, I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. See ya.